a new day and a new video. And this video is going to be very different from the other videos because we are going to discuss something about a holy bead called Rudraksha. I can show you closer. Okay, so I can also show you close up on my screen as well here. So these are the holy beads and they are considered sacred in Hinduism and Buddhism. What we are going to do is because there are certain theories on the internet that these beads carry some kind of electrical or magnetic impulses. So what we are going to do is we are going to conduct a test through this ultra sensitive tri-field natural EM meter. It has magnetic and electrical. It's a very sensitive meter. It can test anything if there is any electrical activity or magnetic thing inside something. It can detect those things. So we are going to put these beads into on that task. Second thing which you're going to learn in this video is how to distinguish a fake bead from a real bead. Third thing is we are going to discuss the Shastric rules related to these beads. And so it's better to stay tuned with us and watch the video completely so that you can learn new things about these things. This video is going to be different and interesting.
The word Rudraksh is a Sanskrit compound word which is made of two words, Rudra and Aksh, which means tears of Lord Shiva. The scientific name is Eleucarpus genitris. Rudraksh is found in countries like Nepal, India, Indonesia, South and Southeast Asia, parts of Australia, etc. The trees look like this, and when they are dry, when the Rudraksh beads are dry, they are green and blue in color. The upper crust is like this.
So first of all, we are going to see how they are distinguished between ekmukhi and domukhi. This is the first thing which we should understand. So for that, the bead itself has faces. If you pay attention to these things, like a melon, they have several facets like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So it becomes a 7-mukhi. So like this one, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is also a 7-mukhi. Now we change the number to some higher number like this one. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is like a dasmukhi or nomukhi. So the actual classification of the bead is based on the number of faces we have on the bead. This is the first thing. These beads are actually found in many countries, and the one you see over here are basically they're Nepali beads, but there are other areas from where they come. Like this one, if you see the difference between these two beads, this is Haridwari bead. This is elongated along this axis. Well, if you look at it, it's more of a roundish stone. This is basically a Nepali bead, and these, the smaller ones, you will see that they come from Indonesia actually, and the crevice is the actual line of difference is not very clear in these beads. They are smaller in size and they come from Indonesia. So these are the beads. They are sold as ekmukhi in the market, ekmukhi kajudana, and you must have heard about it on TV channels also, and many websites they're being sold. Okay, so this is it. Now I'm going to show you the difference between the fake and the real beads. So this bead is actually a fake, but the bead is real. The problem with this bead is that when you look closely, you will see that the crevice, the actual line of demarcation is basically a created line. This is not a natural line. If you look closely, I don't know whether you can see it or not, but these lines are created lines by some kind of sharp object is used. And if you look at a natural bead, you will see that the lines have a difference. These lines are natural lines. So what people do is basically what they will do is they will take up a bead like this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mukhi. So 7 mukhi is a cheaper bead. So what they basically do is they will create a new line into it to make it like 8 mukhi or 9 mukhi. Now the bead is original, but since you have selling it as a 9 mukhi, so it becomes a wrong thing. It's a wrong thing actually. So the bead is original, but the number of faces are not real, right? This is also a fake. This is a Haridwari bead which comes from the Haridwar. Like this one, this also comes from Haridwar. This is a two-mukhi normal bead. But what they do over here, if you look closely, you'll see that there's some kind of a design over here, like a shivling, and they also make a naga head over it. These are also fake beads. So you have to understand that the fakes are created in the market. And at certain times, these kind of beads also, they appear to be natural, but this is not a natural bead. And one more thing which is important to understand is that Ekmukhi Kaju Dana is not mentioned in any of the Shastras. Actually, the bead which is called Ekmukhi, in Shastras they are talking about the round Ekmukhi. This is not a Rudraksha proper. Technically or scientifically we cannot call it Rudraksha. So obviously the Kaju Dana which is sold as Ekmukhi has no value in reality. But since the Ekmukhi is a very rare bead, so they are replaced with this kind of Kaju Dana. The bead you see over here is a very fine replica. It is not a real bead. It appears to be very real, but I tell you what is the difference. Actually, this bead is basically, both of these beads are basically fiber. They are not real. If you take a very hot water and dip them, they will probably change their shape. So the real beads, they never change their shape. So this is the thing which they make a lot of fakes with this kind of method. So these are basically fakes. This is also a real bead but a fake. This is also fake because the number of faces are fake. And these are real beads. The one you see over here, these are real beads. Because if you look closely, you will see that the line of demarcation also has some kind of bulged over here. If you can make out, there's a bulge over here. So this shows that these are real beads. This also is a kind of, if you look closely, you will see that the lines appear to be very sharp. The natural lines are never that sharp as you see in this bead. So these lines are basically created lines, and hence this number of faces, because what happens is that if you buy a 5 mukhi, it will cost you nothing. When you buy a 7 mukhi, it will be costlier. When you buy 12 mukhi, so naturally it will be very expensive. So what they basically do is they create more lines into it, right? Now there's some tests in the market which you might come across, that, like for example, there are tests related to fake and real beads. Now I'm going to show you those tests, and then we are going to use this meter to conduct the electromagnetic test also. There are other things in which you see in the market, like Trigity and Ganesh. This is a Ganesh bead. You see that there is a trunk in it, if you can make out. So this is called Ganesh bead. Then there is garbh gauri, and there are so many varieties. But there is no Shastric evidence for the nomenclature which we see in nomenclature that we see in these beads is not real, because it is not mentioned in any of the ancient books. There is one more thing which is very important over here, is that the Shastras, like there are so many of them, Upanishads and Purans, they talk about mukhis from 1 to 14 only. They do not discuss 15, 16, 17 mukhi. So obviously we don't know whether they are real or not. They also do not discuss about Ganesh, Garbh gauri or any of these Rudraksha. So it is a possibility that these names are created names or coined phrases just to sell off something, or a kind of freak, because this is not natural formation of the bead itself. So since it looks like a Ganesh, people can call it a Ganesh, and then they can sell it with a higher price. So this might be the reason why these phrases are coined. There are people who test it with so many things, like people say that if you put these beads in a real bead between two copper plates, they will rotate, which is a fake. We have tested it in between the copper plates. The real beads do not rotate in any of the copper plates. So obviously this test is useless. It is a fake test, doesn't work. The other test which is very common is people will often tell you that if you put a real bead into water, the real bead will sink, which is true. If I put this as a real bead, I put it there, you see that it sink in the water, so it's a real bead. But I know this is a fake bead because it is made of fiber, but when I drop it into water, you'll see that this also sinks in water. This means that this test which you use is also useless, because this is also a fake bead. You can see that it's inside water. This is also a fake bead, it's inside water. So naturally this test which we conduct with the help of water, which you usually see on the internet, you will find many videos regarding this thing, but it does not work. So you should not use it as a authentic test. There are x-rays also which are conducted, which you can see in the image which I'm sharing in the video itself, and there are other variations, but the most important thing is to pay close attention to these demarcation lines. You'll see that the natural beads have some kind of a bulge over here. So this bulge is important. When you create these lines, the created lines will be sharper. Like for this example, this is a very fine example of a fake bead which you cannot distinguish easily, but if you look very closely, you will see that this particular line, you'll see that the line is very sharp because it is a created line. The natural lines are not made like this. If you I can show you a bead with a higher number of faces like this one. You see there's a difference in it. Like when you compare it to this bead, you will see that the lines, you feel that the lines are not natural. Here the lines are natural. The other thing which is also important is that this is the mouth of the Rudraksh, and this is the tail part of the Rudraksh. This is the mouth, this is the tail. If you see, there is a slight bulge over here. So this is the mouth part, and the back part is called tail. So it is written in one of the Upanishads that they should be combined like this. When you I have never seen most of the people at a commercial scale, they basically put the beads inside the thread. They don't care where the mouth or the tail is, but usually it should be done like the mouth should meet the mouth and the tail should be at the back side. So the next bead should be forming like the tail part should join the tail part, then again the mouth to the mouth. So this is what is being, how they are being put into the anywhere. Okay, now we are going to conduct the special test on it. This is a trifield natural EM meter, which is pretty sensitive, and it's so sensitive, I mean it can really detect your human energy. So I will show you how. You need to understand the technical part of this meter also. This is a variation meter and it is extremely sensitive. Like if I put it on a sun setting, which is electromagnetic setting, now first what it will do is note down the frequencies at the place, and then the pointer will go to 0 because it has noted down all the frequencies of this place. Now if I move, because human body has some kind of electrical energy, so if I move my hand over here, you will see that it is changing. You can see a variation in the needle. This is happening why? Because human body actually variates the field over there. This is the reason why it is happening. Now we are going to conduct a test with the help of we are going to see, because there are theories on the internet that these beads have some kind of magnetic power. So let's see whether they have any kind of magnetic power or not. So what I've done is I have used a thread which is it will work as an insulation. I will keep my hands out and then I will move this bead near this meter, so that we can see that if there is any variation, does they generate or they can variate any magnetic. If they are magnetic, if they are conductive, they will change the magnetometer over here, the sign over here. Okay, so let's see. I move it to magnetic. Okay, and we are going to wait for 5 seconds so that it rests, come back to 0, which is doing right now, and it is 0 now. Okay, now if I move my bead over here, you will see that it does not do anything. You can see that there is not a single change in there is a very slight change which is possible because of other things as well, because this meter is so sensitive that it can pick up objects in the sky also. So if there is a magnetic thing going nearby, it can pick that up. But in a general sense, you can see that there is hardly any variation in the magnetic meter on this Rudraksh. And if I use a fake bead, obviously there will not be any kind of variation. I move the fake bead over here. Okay, so there is a slight thing, as you can see in the real bead also this variation was there, in the fake bead also this variation is there. So the thing which is circulating on the internet that it has some kind of a magnetic power is totally fake. There is no magnetic power in it. But if we change it to electrical power, if we change the electrical position, what happens is this is a variation meter. So if anything is like a Rudraksh bead is, it changes the electrical field nearby, because once it has noted down all the frequencies, and if there is something which is conductive to electricity and comes near to this meter, then this meter is going to show a variation in Vm, which is volt per meter. So when I move it like here, you see that there is a minor variation in it, right? Okay, slight electrical thing is there, but this is not because of it's being electrical, it is because this is going to create a variation in the natural frequencies of the place. So this will also happen with this fake bead also. Look, the same thing is happening with the fake bead. So so it does not say that these beads have some kind of power in them. The tests which you see in the market, the theories which are circulating in the market, that these beads have some kind of electrical or magnetic powers, those tests are not real, and I don't think they are based on any scientific theory, because scientifically you've seen it, such a meter that it can even see a human energy. It is basically a natural meter, which makes it very, very important, and it is not picking up any frequencies or any magnetic or electrical fields in these beads, which means there is no such thing as is being laid down into the theories. So this is the part of the video where I wanted to explain that certain things which you need to understand before buying the beads is that they might have some kind of a spiritual thing. This is true, but it is not necessary that they what you see in the market is all real. Like for example, the Ganesh, the Trijuta, the any kind of things, like the beads which are not mentioned in the Shastras, then the fakes which I've shown. This means that the test which is related to water is useless, and the theories circulating on the internet related to the magnetic and electrical properties of these beads is also not real. So when you are buying the bead, you should be careful about whatever is written on the internet is not true. And you can also see that the test for fake and real, you can also do the same thing at your house, at your home, and find out which one is the real one. And these beads might have some kind of a spiritual property, which is possible because this is mentioned in all the Upanishads, all the Puranas, that they carry some kind of spiritual power. Wearing it becomes the person can feel it also. I have seen tests where wearing the beads can control the blood pressure, but the rest of the things, like the theories, like okay, somebody is selling it with a fake theory that it has some kind of a magnetic property or electrical thing, that thing is a fake thing, that is not real. Also the beads which you have seen, like this one, it's a fiber, this is also not real. So this video was meant to explain you all these things, so next time when you go into the market and buy these beads, so you become a little bit careful, and you since you understand now everything. And that's it. That was the reason why I made this video. Thank you very much.